Hey y'all, sorry I haven't been posting in a while, but I am back, and yes, I have been keeping up with the NBA. I'm still watching my normal amount of games every day, and can't wait for the playoffs to roll around, especially in the Eastern Conference specifically. I really can't wait to see what the playoffs are going to look like, how it's all going to shake out. There's about 8 or so games left for all of the teams in the NBA, which is wild to say. The season has flown by, but we have a little bit of potential playoff breaking news that happened. So the Boston Celtics starting center, Robert Williams, is going to be out for an indefinite amount of time with a torn meniscus in his knee. He hurt the knee yesterday in the Celtics matchup at home against the Minnesota Timberwolves, and unfortunately, this is a devastating blow to a team that has really turned around their season and has been one of the 3 best teams in the NBA since the turn of the new year. You could throw, obviously, the Phoenix Suns just keep churning out win after win after win after win. The Dallas Mavericks had a great turnaround this year, and the Boston Celtics were right there with one of the best turnarounds of the season. They have had the best defense in the NBA since the new year. Overall in the season, they have the best defensive rating in the NBA. They figured things out with their scheme. Marcus Smart becoming a point guard has just been a godsend for the Celtics. They traded away Josh Richardson and Dennis Schroeder, brought in Derek White, brought back Daniel Tice from the Houston Rockets, and they have just been rolling. Their switching scheme, they finally got a real grasp of it, especially at the turn of the new year, and have just been blowing teams out of the building. And if you look at the Celtics clutch stats, which is kind of funny, a lot of those clutch stats happened from early in the season. Their clutch stats remain the same now because they haven't been in many clutch games. The Celtics have just been stomping teams out. And Robert Williams, and in part Marcus Smart as well, both of whom are in Defensive Player of the Year conversation, consideration, whatever you want to say, they have been a big part of that, and Robert Williams was a big part of that, and it's going to be a huge blow for the Celtics. Not a blow that I think is going to, take them out of championship contender consideration or anything like that, but this is a devastating blow. The path for the Celtics just got harder. They get the number 1 seed yesterday after Philadelphia lost to the Suns, and then the Celtics beat the Timberwolves, and as soon as some good stuff happens, some more bad stuff happens for the Celtics. Their injury luck has kind of been bad this year, but like I said, since the new year, they've been churning out wins, and Robert Williams was a big part of that. They would let Robert Williams roam off of their weakest defender, their weakest non-shooter, would let Al Horford guard on the perimeter or guard the opposing team's big, and they would just let Robert Williams just wreak havoc everywhere, and he could switch in a pinch, of course. Not only that, Robert Williams has been a lob threat. He's a awesome passer. I highlighted Robert Williams before the season started as one of my 6 breakout candidates for the 2021-22 NBA season. He just really stepped it up this year, and without Robert Williams there now, it's going to be interesting to see how the Celtics scheme around that. I still think they're going to be relatively fine, or will be able to stay afloat, because Jayson Tatum has been playing like an absolute superstar since the turn of the new year. Jaylen Brown has fit in nicely as the second banana. Marcus Smart, as I said, has been really good as the point guard. Derek White has brought a stabling, calm presence to the Celtics, even though he can't really shoot the 3-ball well. He could switch defensively. He makes the right play on offense. He keeps the ball moving, and the Celtics definitely needed some ball movers. And they've just been sharing the rock because they have all types of playmakers. Marcus can make plays. Jayson Tatum has taken steps this year as a playmaker. Al Horford, of course, has somehow found new form again into his old form, if you will, and has been playing great since the new year. He's been playing so great that Elton Brand might fuck around and give Al Horford another max contract when he's a free agent this summer. Oh, I made that joke with a lot of pain behind my face. But anyway, I think having Daniel Tice there will help stem the loss a little bit. I don't think Daniel Tice is like a great player or anything like that, but he does know the scheme. He does fit the prototype of that type of role where he could just roam off and cause havoc while Al Horford deals with the switchy big on the perimeter or the bigger post player. So I think scheme-wise, Daniel Tice will kind of fill out Robert's role a little bit, but he's not the passer Robert Williams is, and he's not the offensive threat Robert Williams is, especially as a vertical spacer. On defense, though, I think he could stem the loss a little bit. But really, I think the Celtics defense will still be fine. They might not be dominatingly great as, I just made up a word. They might not be as dominant as they have been since the start of the new year, because Robert Williams does add an element of athletic switchability and pop on that end of the floor. And especially in that role that the Celtics had him play in, just really accentuates all of his great qualities as a defender. But I still think the Celtics defense will be fine because they have gotten the switching down to a T. Their communication has been seamless on that end of the floor. I think Daniel Tice will still be able to at least know where to be in that scheme, especially if he's going to be in the off-roamer role that the Celtics so often had Rob Williams in. But it's definitely a blow. And the Celtics really just played their way into being a championship contender. I think if you're going to do a tier, it would be the Bucks, the Nets, the Celtics, and then maybe a little tier below that, the Sixers. I still think the Sixers are contenders. Miami, I am like a foot and a half out of the door with Miami. I don't think there is a world where they could come out of the East unless injuries happen. I just don't believe in their half-court offense. And some of the primary guys for the Heat that make the overall offense go with their shooting and the spacing that they need for Jimmy and Bam to operate, like Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, Max Strus, and even to a lesser extent, Gabe Vincent, who has been out. I think they can just get attacked relentlessly on the defensive end of the floor. And we have seen that with Miami's recent 4-game dump in the last week, that teams are just religiously attacking Hero, religiously attacking Robinson, religiously attacking Max Strus, if you're just going to look at the Knicks game, for example. So I don't think they're in that tier. The Celtics have played their way into the cream of the crop in terms of contenders in the East. And this was a team that I was bullish on before the year started. And at one point they were 17-19. And the coach was calling out players publicly. Marcus was calling out Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown publicly. Celtics fans were joking on their own damn team. It was bad, but this turnaround has been miraculous. I haven't seen an NBA team do this in recent memory. I can't remember one. If anybody has an example or something that's sort of similar that they think is similar, they can leave a comment in the section below. But the Celtics played their way into contendership status, and I could definitely see them coming out of the East. But with the Rob Williams injury, the path definitely got a lot harder. And it just sucks that some key injuries have happened right before the playoffs have started. John Morant's been sitting out with knee soreness. Stephen Curry, of course, with that sprain in his foot, playing the Celtics, ironically. And then the Celtics losing Rob Williams. Just some key injuries happening to teams that could conceivably win the championship, and it's just unfortunate. And this is just another one. And the Rob Williams injury will definitely have an impact on the outcome of the Eastern Conference playoffs.